Hey, this is Matt Boldy, and you're listening to Locked On Wild.
Hey, this is Marcus Foligno, and you're listening to Locked On Wild.
You're Locked On Wild, your daily podcast on the Minnesota Wild. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, everybody. Welcome to yet another live show here. Gross blizzard out on most of Minnesota, so hopefully you're watching somewhere warm. And without further ado, let's turn it over to the man of the hour. Good evening, Denny.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to What the Hell Did You Smoke? A brief going over what I'm talking about tonight. The power play is number one. I'm going to talk about the trades and what's building up and what I can actually see happening, and getting a little depth on the players. So at any rate, as you know, in the last goal against Montreal that Tarasenko scored, that was a variation of Gretzky's office. That was too low wide. And a lot of teams in the 80s used it. I don't know why they got away from it, but it's very hard for defenders to come down behind the net because you can get caught so easy going back up high. And I'm sure most of you know what I'm talking about. But it's nice to see that they're doing different things. I've been talking about Gretzky's office for almost the entire year, wouldn't you think, Seth?
If not back to last year, too.
Yeah. And it just adds a whole different dimension for a power play. You know, the Wild typically use the half-wall curl-outs. And as I talked before about the 2-3 high that Colorado uses, which is just beautiful to look and see him execute and how it works. It's a beautiful thing. Another thing I want to talk about tonight is my short-term memory is kicking me in the ass right now. And you'll notice a lot of times on the last time I was on with Seth, I had a lot of pauses between actually talking and thinking about it. My brain is not functioning real well right now. I have 4 or 5 second pause between what my brain says and what I actually talk. And we're working on it. If things don't improve, I probably won't be doing this much longer because it is what it is. Dementia's a terrible disease and whatever. At any rate, I'm working on it. But I want to absolutely say thank you for still watching me, even though my delivery is really bad right now. But there's nothing I'm doing the best I can. I have everything written down in big bold letters because, you know, a lot of times when I'm talking, I forget what I'm talking about while I'm actually talking about it. I know that's hard to fathom, but that's really what happens to me a lot now. So thank you for bearing with me. All right. Getting into the trades. Now, I've noticed the last couple of Hughes and then Rasmus Anderson from Calgary, each one was 4 pieces for top-end talent. And Sherwood, that went to San Jose, that was a 3-piece trade, right, Seth?
Yes.
Yes. And that's about right. I mean, it was middle 6. So you're looking at 4 pieces to acquire top-end talent. And there aren't that many centers available. You know, and that's why a month ago when I put up my list, Ryan O'Reilly's still my top pick. And, you know, a lot of people have said he's not a 1C, but just to give you some numbers here, he has 47 points with a 55.7 faceoff And he just had a hat trick against Colorado. Nashville's playing really good hockey, so I don't know what their thoughts are on trading, but he would still be my first period because he fixes all the holes. And a lot of people say he's not a first line center. Absolutely, he is. He really is. And then Vincent Trocheck, which all the podcasters are talking about now. He has 32 points in 37 games. He's got a 55 to 58% in the dot. And you see how many times we get killed on the dot. That's got to be fixed before the playoffs because that's a hard road to a hole when you're chasing the puck all the time. So we need somebody who can win the puck. And that's why I got Vincent Trocheck. And of course, I have a deal for Panarin and Trocheck together, 7 pieces. And, with Billy talking with Chris Drury all the time, and Seth and I had talked about this before the show, I'm pretty sure they got a deal worked out. They're just waiting for the Olympics, which makes sense in case somebody gets hurt. And then you got Thomas in St. Louis, which a lot of people have asked me about. And SodaPod did a big deal on him last night. The thing with Thomas is, and I did a lot of background check on this. I went back a few years. Players around him don't get better; they get worse. Kyrou, who has been such a great player his whole time in St. Louis, his production has dropped 30% having Thomas as a center. And that has to tell you something. Thomas outright is a really good center, but he would not be my first, second, or even third choice. And SodaPod's all over. I mean, he does bring a lot to the table. And right now he's hurt, so I don't even know why anybody's bringing it up because he may not play the rest of the year. I mean, I've seen different conflicting reports, but I don't think Thomas is on the board for the Wild. And then you look at who's left. You got Panarin, you got Bryden Shin, and you got Kadri. None of them turn my fancy at all. I mean, really. I don't know what your guys' thoughts are, but really, Trocheck and if we could get both of them, that would be awesome. But at least Trocheck. A lot of people, he would be definitely a first-line center here. He's second in New York, but, you got Zinnabad first line, and he is a better player. I mean, New York's lucky. They're deep up the middle. That's why he's available, I think. I don't know. Things change in New York every day. You see a lot of stuff being written, and it goes back and forth. But I think Trocheck is available. And I think the 7-piece deal for Panarin will at least let him look at it. Who knows what Billy, he keeps everything so close to the vest. How many people actually thought we were getting Quinn Hughes? There was not a word said about it beforehand, Seth. None. And then, any questions or comments so far?
We have a couple, but if you want to just go through,
no, we can do some question answer stuff, and I'll save this to the end.
Let's start with Britt. He says, these trades sound great, but the Wild can't be the only team going after certain players. Where do you draw the line of trades costing too much?
Well, the 7 pieces for Trocheck and Panarin, that's all in. Every deal I have here for Ryan O'Reilly is 4 pieces. A first, a second, 2 players. I'm only looking at what's best available that fits what we need. The number one need for the Wild, as I keep hounding about, we need a center who can win on the dot. That's first and foremost on my book. And 4 pieces is the most I'll get. Bottom line, I mean, that's a good deal. It's a win-win both ways. And that's how you want to have a trade happen, is a win-win. I'm pretty sure Vancouver's very happy with getting Ogren and Boyum, and they're doing pretty good there. Although Boyum was sad a game, but I found out that it's not about the hockey play; it was something else. But who knows? I mean, all kinds of things going on. But 4 pieces for our number one seems to be the prevailing deal right now, as I brought up earlier. That's a lot to give up for one player, but that seems to be the going rate, and I don't expect it to change. Next question.
Trav says you've almost got to try and block Colorado from getting Panarin and make an offer, because they're interested. They're one of the favorites to land him. And if Colorado adds anything of substance, it's over. Just give them the Stanley Cup.
Well, the whole thing with Colorado is they don't have much to work with cap space, but that can be worked around. And Travis spot on there. We have to get him just to stop him from going to Colorado. That's a very good point. Jesus, Colorado gets Panarin. As I've said, this is the best team I've seen in 50 years, and it just makes it that much better. Even though they've lost a couple players and they've come down to earth a little bit because they actually lost a couple games now, they are just, there are no weaknesses on that team. They don't have the depth that we do, though, which is, the Wild match up well with Colorado. And I'm pretty sure that's what we're looking at for the Western Conference, Colorado and Minnesota. And it's going to be a hell of a series. The biggest thing now is just winning home ice against Dallas, because that's all we're playing for. I mean, the rest, we're not going to catch Colorado. We may come close, but we're not catching Colorado. They're just so good. Next question.
What about Elias Pettersson from Vancouver? Is that worth pursuing?
I would pass on him. He's really streaky, and he seems there's always something going on with him. You know what I mean? A lot of it is just a lackluster player, whatever they're talking about. But why is that? I don't know. I would pass on Elias Pettersson. Too many things that surround him. And when stuff like that happens, it's for a reason. When podcasters are talking about this or that, or the NHL or whoever, he's not putting enough effort, is a lot of times what I hear. And it could be just because he's playing in Vancouver and he's tired of it. I mean, who knows? I don't have any special input on that. I just, what I see and what I read. But this has been going on now for a few years. It's not brand new. This has been a problem for Vancouver for a while. So, yeah, I would pass on. Next question.
Well, and you also have a guy on the roster that can give you a pretty good intel as to whether Pettersson's worth pursuing.
Well, absolutely. I mean, of course, they have. Today's scouting team, they don't leave nothing unturned. I mean, they're looking at everything. And it's up to the office to okay it, but they get all the information. They know, every team is pretty much on the same page when it comes to scouting. It's just what they look for in different players that is the difference, really. One guy will say this guy's got an excellent this, and another guy say it's only average. I mean, it's all subjective. When you're scouting 17-year-old players, that's the hardest job in the world to have, Seth. It really is. How can you tell what a 17, 18-year-old's going to do as a grown-up in hockey? Yeah, it's hit miss. At best, if you hit 50%, you're doing pretty good, I think. And that hasn't changed for a long time. Next question.
Let's talk about, this is a good point. Do the Wild need to be careful trading because a trade could potentially disrupt team chemistry, or is that a big factor?
You're right. Trades can disrupt chemistry in the team, and I've seen that, a lot over the years. Most recently, when we got who was that trade with Arizona that we did?
Martin Hanzal.
Yes, Martin Hanzal. Biggest mistake. That was he couldn't skate, and it ruined the chemistry of the team, and that just shows it. But I think now most teams are pretty well versed, and they know what the players are about. Excuse me, because there's so many people who specialize in looking at this or looking at that or looking at this. I mean, the internet's a beautiful thing to get information. You didn't have that before. Now there's no guesswork there, which is a good thing. Next question.
Which way was I going to go? Let's talk about Vladimir Tarasenko. He cannot continue to be our best player, can he?
Yeah, and he won't. But it's so nice to see him coming into form. I've talked about this before. When you get to this plateau in hockey, it's all between the ears. It's the confidence. And Tarasenko is showing confidence again, and that's something that's been lacking. And as I talked about in the last show, when you go a couple of years where things aren't going your way, then you start believing that's how you play now. And I think he believes he can do it again, which is beautiful because Jesus, he's a hell of a player when he the way he's playing right now. What'd you say his goal for the year was? 20, 21?
He's got 13 right now, and I think his projection, I'm pulling it up right now, I think his projection is over 20 for the season. Yeah, 21 goals, 45 points is his projection.
Well, you can't. The only thing you can ask for is 5 more points. I like to see all the players at 50 in the top 6 or top 9. That's my thoughts. But 45 points, and when he started the year, he was totally lost. And now he's figured out where he's at. He's fit in. He's really part of the team. He's contributing. And you can really see it on ice. He's going by smiling and talking, and he's got everything going on. Those things are very important. I know a lot of people think I'm full of shit when I say this, but when you watch a team and they're going back and sitting, in the row, and they're all chirping and they're back slapping, and everything's going on, that's a good thing. It's when teams don't do it that you got to worry, because when they're just sitting there looking at the game, there's no enthusiasm. You know what I'm talking about. And Tarasenko is right there. I mean, I love it, and I'm pretty sure Billy didn't expect this when he got him, but maybe he did. I don't know. I certainly didn't expect it, but time has told us that Billy has made another good deal. And what's wrong with that? I mean, we went through a few years with some stumbles. You know what I mean? So getting Tarasenko has been a good add.
Let's give Heinze a little credit too. He sat down with Tarasenko before the road trip started to try to get a little more out of him, and he has 5 goals. He had 5 goals in the 3 games.
Well, Heinze's pressing all the right buttons this year. Like I said before, I'm impressed. He's making his lineups the way he should be making them, which was my biggest criticism before. I don't know where he came with some of those lineups, and you know which ones I'm talking about because you were going, "What the hell is this?" But he is. He's pressing all the right buttons, and I'm impressed. And he's actually making in-game changes, and that's something that Dino didn't do. And I have nothing bad to say right now. I don't see anything that he's doing that I can pick on at all. All I can do is give him congratulations, hats off to him, because he's doing everything the right way right now. What do you think, Seth?
The one spot, and this moves into the next topic perfectly. We have seen the Wild stick with the goalie rotation, even though Jesper has his numbers have started to come back down to earth. What do you think about the fact that the Wild are continuing to go with the rotation as opposed to sliding more starts to Gus as the starter?
Oh, I like the goalie rotation. That goal that what's his name? Colton.
Caulfield.
Caulfield. That was a laser from the slot, and I'm going to tell you, that was one hell of a shot, and that's the kind of shot it takes to beat him. Now, why was he left wide open to do that is the question. I mean, that's kind of like being hung out to dry when you have a Caulfield. He's just got a hell of a shot, and he showed it right there. Why was he open like that with 15 seconds left to go is the question. Maybe that's something you guys can explain to me because I don't understand. Everybody should be on their man. When you're wide open, that's a problem. And, defense has had some lapses lately. And that's, that goes on all year long. I'm not worried about it at all. It just happened to have with 15 seconds left. And it was a heartbreaker, believe me.
Yeah, that was, I wasn't, I got back way later than I thought I was going to, which is why we didn't do a post game yesterday, but I wasn't super upset about that game against Montreal. I mean, the Wild battled second night of a back-to-back. They battled, if not for that goal, they get a point. They finished the road trip with points in all three games. That's a young, fast Montreal team that Martin St. Louis has. He's got them playing pretty darn good. But the Wild aren't going to have to worry about them unless they meet in the Stanley Cup final. So it's
true. And what this road trip showed you is the depth of our team. When you have 5 core players out and you beat Buffalo, who has won 17 out of 19 or 16 out of 17 games, I think, and dismantle Toronto with 5 of your core players out. What does that tell you? I mean, this team is loaded. And a lot of people don't look at it that way, but, getting Quinn Hughes put us over the top. And I know Billy's not done, and, everybody's talking about, but Billy's going to make one more deal. He knows we need a first-line center better than anybody. And I think that's why it's so important that him and Chris are so connected up, because Seth and I have talked about this before. They're going to get a deal. I'm certain of it. Your thoughts, Seth?
Yeah, it just there have been too many assets that have already been sent away that getting cold feet because of the asking price now, it doesn't make any sense. Billy's going to get something done. As for who, a lot of that is out of his control, because the thing that you're hoping is the teams that you want to do business with being terrible between now and the deadline, and Billy can't, he's got no control over that. But the thing that he will do is pivot. He'll pivot. He'll find he'll find a center that is available. If Ryan O'Reilly, if the Predators are pushing for a playoff spot like they are now, he'll pivot and he'll go find somebody else. And it is 100% going to be somebody that's not on our radar. The trade is not going to be somebody that we have been looking at for a while. It's going to be somebody under the radar that's not been talked about at all. That's kind of what I'm starting to put my thought process around.
Well, I've looked at all 32 teams, to be honest. And what makes sense for the Wild. And that's how I came up with the list a month ago with those 4 players. And now it is only changed by 2 teams. And I don't see anything in Calgary that I'm excited about. Kadri just doesn't do anything for it. And the other would be Anaheim. They've fallen back to the pack. And who was that player that I liked at the beginning of the season, before the season started as a trade?
McTavish.
Yes, McTavish. If we could get him, I would be all over on that too. He's not a first-line center, but boy, he would be a hell of an addition for the 3rd line or the 4th line. I mean, but that's how deep our team is now, so I don't think that's going to happen. The Wild are built for the playoffs. They just need 2 pieces, and I'd be able, like I've already predicted, Stars and Winnipeg are falling back. The only thing we have to play for is home field advantage, and that's a big thing. Other than that, Colorado's going to finish first. We're fighting for 2nd and 3rd. It is what it is. I'm just the team has to be ready for the playoffs. And the one thing that I really see that I haven't seen in a long time from this team is they're very tenacious. And I haven't seen that since Jacques Lemieux days. If anybody knows what I'm talking about. And they're becoming that. And that's really a good sign, because that means they're coming together as a team. And they're really playing for each other. And that's what you want. I mean, that's what everybody preaches, but for it to happen is, and I see it happening. I mean, who's the name of the power play coach, Seth? I forget his name.
Jason King.
Yes, Jason King. Using a hybrid of Gretzky's office is a very smart thing to do, and I hope I see a lot more of it, because you get that down, it's very hard to defend. And when you got Boldy and Kaprizov on in the slot shooting the puck, that's good. That's good stuff right there. And that's what that power play is designed for. Is from back to front instead of from high down or sidewall in. I mean, it's just another part of the picture. Because, teams look at our power play and they say, okay, this is what we got to do. This is what they're doing. Well, if you start changing it up all the time, well, then you got a much better chance of scoring a goal, because they're not ready for it. They got to react to it instead of knowing where to go before. I don't know. That's my thoughts. I don't know what you think, Seth.
I don't know. I kind of, as far as the power play goes, I just would like to see, I'd like to see somebody that can handle that net front, but behind the net, I should say, so that then you can have Kirill Kaprizov and Matt Boldy on either side, kind of in the circles. Yep. Quinn Hughes at the top, and then somebody else to circle to just get open. And Tarasenko's been pretty darn good on the power play in the spots that he has handled that.
Well, he was down low for that one. For the third goal, he was down low on the 2 wide, as I was talking about, and he curls up to the net. I mean, it's very hard to defend when you figure out how to use it correctly. And it looks like they're doing it. And I would bet they're practicing it because it puts another wrinkle in. My hat's off to, what's his name again, Seth?
Jason King.
Jason King, yeah. My hat's off to him for doing it because I really like the Gretzky's office power play because it offers so many benefits that you don't see from up high. Next question.
Thoughts on Steven Stamkos?
He's playing really well this year. His contract is what? 8.5?
Yeah.
And he's a proven performer. I mean, I don't know. I have to think about that one for a second. Let me look into that, and I will get back to you next week on that. I'll put that on my list. Who asked that question?
A couple of people were asking about Stamkos.
Yeah, let me look into that. And I'm thinking the Canes are looking at him big time too.
Mm-hmm.
And that would be a bidding war between us and the Canes have a lot more to offer, to be honest.
The Hurricanes will be one of the more active teams at the deadline. They're going to make they're going to make a massive move.
Yeah, who's that player they're trying to get rid of? I signed him to a long-term contract and he hasn't worked out. Oh, I'm sorry, folks. I normally have this stuff, but I'm losing it a little bit. I'm sorry.
Which player were you asking about?
He's on the trading block right now for the Canes. They signed him to a long-term.
Kotkaniemi?
Yes, that's the one. That's the one. They're trying to unload him because he's not working out there. But, and he was a pretty decent player when they signed him. That's why they signed him. But I would pass on him too. But like you're right. The Canes are all in. And I see them making some big moves too. I do. In fact, I picked the Canes to play us for the Cup, to be honest. I put this in a long time ago, but just to refresh it, I got the Wild and the Canes for the Stanley Cup. Yeah, I'm a homer. Next question.
Let's talk about Jonas Brodin.
What is there to say? He's given his life to the sport, and he's built the way he's built. Some players always get hurt. That's just the way it works. Some players never get hurt. Brodin just doesn't have to be one of them. I don't want to see no changes this year with him. I mean, I want him in the playoffs. There's no question about it. But I could see him moving on, traded or retiring because his injury issue is becoming a big concern. At least I think so.
Yeah, I don't think anything will happen with that during the season, but I think he's a prime candidate to get moved in the off season.
Yeah. Well, how many years does he have left on his contract? 1 or 2?
He has a couple years. He has no trade protection though. That's the big thing with his deal.
Yeah.
He has 2 years left after this year with $6 million cap hit, but no trade protection.
Seeing $6
you
million.
You got to move. You got to move that contract.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's really a good contract. I mean, that won't be hard to move at all. And for some team, let's say San Jose, they're not deep at all in the D. He would be a great addition for them. And San Jose has the picks and the prospects, so that could work out. It's just off the top of my head. Next.
I want to talk about this point too, because Matthew asks, the better question is, why are we having players push through injuries in January when the team is basically already locked up a playoff spot? I think it's the complete opposite. I don't think the Wild are rushing people back. I think you're just looking at athletes who want to play no matter what. This is something that happens with plenty of other teams. Is you have guys that are they just want to be out on the ice. And if they can play through, how many times do we hear the different injuries that players have at the end of the season? Brock Faber played 2 months with broken ribs and nobody knew. Players want to play, and players will tolerate a hell of a lot to do so. So I don't think that it's necessarily that the Wild are saying you have to come back. I think it's the players maybe lying a little bit to the team and saying, yeah, I'm good to go. I'm fine. I'm ready. I can play through it.
Well, you bring up an excellent point. Hockey players play through pain. They always have. I can remember back 70s and 80s, they'd be gushing blood. Doctor bring him back, stitch him up, and he'd be out in 2 shifts later. I mean, that's just how hockey has always been. This is not baseball. This is not baseball at all. You don't get a hangnail and quit for a month. Yeah, stitch it up. Let's go. That's the beauty of this game.
Unless it's the Olympics and Bill Guerin is demanding that Minnesota Wild players play in the Olympics, is what I've heard.
I read something today.
That's a joke.
Sweden is very concerned about the injuries. Now that Brodin is not playing, that's a big hit for them, and they know it. I was reading a little bit about that from I don't know, New York Post, maybe New York Times. But yeah, they're really worried because losing Brodin is a big part of their team. The whole thing is he's just got to be healthy for the playoffs. And maybe that's what they're shooting for. I don't know. But it doesn't sound good. I don't know what the injuries. I wish the Wild would at least be a little bit more honest about what the hell's going on with the players. If they're going to be out for a long period of time, what is it hurting? To inform the public of what's going on. I understand if you say it's a bruise in the foot or something, well, then the players are taking a stick and not trying to knock you around because you got a bad foot. But there should be a time and place to discuss players' injuries. Even though we don't have it, I would hope in the future we'll think about that. Next comment or question?
I want to talk about this because I've seen Glenn bring up this name a few times.
Okay.
Leo Carlson. There is a 0% chance that Leo Carlson is available in any capacity.
Yeah, exactly. Nothing. He's not going anywhere. Why would you even think that he's available? Is my question. Next question.
Let's go to yeah, this is exactly right. Pretty much the entire NHL, either upper or lower body, and that's all. That's all we get. Pretty much any team.
That's ridiculous.
I was surprised that the Wild confirmed that Brodin was going to miss the Olympics.
Yeah, me too.
I was like, wow, that is as concrete of a timetable as we have had in the last like 5 years.
Does he have a lower or a high body injury?
I think it's a lower, but I am not certain.
Well, that could be anything.
They may, and the NHL may as well just say Matt Boldy, something somewhere on his body day to day.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah. Has there been any word on Boldy? I haven't seen anything.
No. The only thing that I saw on the Boldy front was that it was something that he had been dealing with that
previous.
Got to a point is how that was phrased. And that was it.
That's concerning. A lingering issue. What the hell could that be? I don't know. I'm fairly well informed in the medical with broken bones and stuff like that, but a lingering injury.
A lot of people saying bone bruise for Boldy.
That very well could be it. Seth and I talked about that earlier. Bone bruises get worse before they get better, for whatever reason. And I think that's probably that's an astute observation. Probably is. Next question.
Thoughts? We've talked about Alex Tuck quite a bit. What about Hunter Haight?
I think he's a trade piece. Now, and to talk about it a little.
You read my mind.
I think Starmer's gone. I think Hunter Haight's gone. And one of the defensemen, whether it's Spacek or Carlos or Pert, I think we're going to see a few players gone here shortly.
Yeah.
And we've talked about this before. Billy's all in. And if it doesn't work out and he bombs, what's the worst that's going to happen? I mean, GMs are hired to be fired, just like coaches. He can't lose by it. And the way he's going this year, everything he's touching is going gold. I mean, Quinn Hughes is the best trade in Wild history as far as I'm concerned. And we'll see what his next one is. But, he's riding down the golden road right now. And this is his legacy. I see nothing but good things happening. I honestly do. As hard as I've been on Billy, it's the other way around too. I mean, my hat's off to him. Who thought we would get Quinn Hughes? Did anybody see that coming? I mean, think about it. I didn't. Did you?
No. I didn't even want to do an episode on it because I was like, oh, there's no chance that happens.
Yeah, I know. And here we have, and now everybody gets to watch him play just how good he really is. I mean, he's exceptional. He's A+. He makes everybody around him better. He runs the team. It's just a beautiful thing to watch. I mean, his vision on ice is superior. And it's very few times over the last 50 years that I've seen players do that. Of course, I've told you Bobby Orr is number one, but Quinn Hughes is right up there with him. And I'm not kidding. He's that good. And hats off to Billy for getting him because that makes us a real favorite to win the cup. And, what else can you say about it? It's just it's a beautiful he plays the game the right way. And it's beautiful to watch when hockey is shooting or passing, skating, shooting. There's nothing better as far as I'm concerned. Next question.
Let's give some praise to the one other person that I think, there's one person I think that if he wouldn't have signed off on the trade package, Bill Guerin would not have made the move. Judd Brackett. Because this is where your director of scouting comes in the flip side capacity. Every player within this organization, Bill Guerin says, is this somebody we need to keep? And it's Judd Brackett's job to say yes or no. And so if it was a situation where any of those guys are too important to get rid of, Judd Brackett would not have signed off on that deal.
Well, you know what I think of Judd Brackett? I think he should be our next GM, to be honest. When Billy's done and retired or decides he's moving upstairs and let operations go, Judd is my pick. I mean, look what he's done since he's been here. Now, of course, the way we build our team is we trade our assets for players, which I totally 100% agree with. But you still have to develop players to get there. And Judd has made lots of really good moves. And as I've told you before, the only time I disagree with Judge on one pick was when he picked Ogren instead of Snuggerud or who's the defenseman from Chicago, the golfer. Renzel? Is that it?
Renzel, I think.
Yeah, Renzel. I would, being a homer, I was hoping he would pick one of them, but Judd Brackett is excellent at what he does, and his job is so tough. When you think about picking 17 to 18-year-old kids and looking forward to how they're going to develop. Who knows that? Nobody does. I mean, but he constantly is picking up good players for us. I mean, I hate to say it, but I think we're going to see Starmer, Hyde, no matter what happens, again. And it's up to the team. I'll just let them pick. Because every team looks at players differently, and what their plus and minuses are. So I just let them pick a couple players, and that's that. I mean, that's what it's for. We're all in. This is cup time. Your thoughts?
Yeah, you got to go all in. You can't you can't put as many chips in as you did for Quinn Hughes and then say, oh, turns out I don't want to put the rest of the stack in. Like, it's if you want to get to the top of the mountain, because it is possible. Crazier things have happened in the NHL. I know Colorado is world beater stage right now, but every team is one big injury away from having their outlook drastically changed.
True. And Trav brought up such a good point. Trav, you get a shout out. That was one hell of an observation. I'm not kidding. Just thinking about that. Yeah, we're blocking Colorado. I like it. I like it a lot. Only Trav would come up with that. I love it. Trav and I have been talking on comment section for almost 8 years now. When I look back at that's pretty special. And I hope one day I get to meet you, Trav, because we've been talking a lot back and forth for a long time. It'd be nice to meet you sometime. Which brings me up just a few days away from my birthday gig. If anybody's planning on going, if you could leave in the comments at your comments so we make sure we have accommodations for you, because it looks like we may have 7-8 people there. I mean, I don't know. Last year we had 7 or 6, I think. Yeah, it would be nice to meet fellow fans. That's going to be cool as hell.
Absolutely.
So 5:30. It's Zambonis. There you go. Next question.
Glenn, look, Glenn, I think Leo Carlson would be a good ad, and I know he's a restricted free agent, as you said, but he's not going to get to the point unless he physically asks out from San Jose. He's not going to get to the point of being available unless he physically asks out.
Carlson's in Anaheim, isn't he?
Yeah. What did I say? San Jose.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's in it.
Well,
He's not going to get to the point of being available unless he physically says, "I don't want to be here anymore," because the Ducks are not going to trade him unless he asks.
Well, it's
out.
his team.
Yeah,
that's his team. Why would he leave? And they got a lot of talent. They got huge goalie problems this year. That's the only reason Anaheim is taking a fall back is their all-star goalie last year can't hardly play him this year. He's not doing very well. Very inconsistent. Next question.
Good one. In regards to the lineup, when a trade is made, who is out if we bring in a big center? Who comes out of the lineup?
That's a very good question. Seth and I have talked about this before. Seth thinks Hartman is a real piece that could be gone. I would hate to see Hartman go. He means too much to this team. And in the playoffs, you need that grit. You really need that grit. And him and Foligno, they're peanut butter and jelly on the ice together. And I hope it's not Hartman, but it makes sense when you look at it. But I could see us moving Hinostroza off, and who else is a regular that you think could be moved?
I think that's the answer right there, and I think that's why we have seen him in the lineup as much as he is because I think he's a placeholder, so they don't have a dilemma. He just becomes your 13th forward. Hartman can play wing, so I think he would just slot into that Hinostroza spot, and then whoever you get just takes that center spot. I don't think with the way Hartman has played, I don't think you can trade him.
I hope not. He's been here through thick and thin. He comes to play. He's got a lot of heart, and you need that in the playoffs. You just do. We have the combinations. We can go heavy, we can go light, we can go fast, we can go slow. It doesn't matter what team brings, what the other team brings. We can deal with it now. And when's the last time we could say that? Honestly, I can't remember. It's been a long time since the Wild could say that. Really, Jacques Lemaire had a team that was with he's the head of development now.
Oh, Bombardier.
Yes, Brad Bombardier. In those days, the Wild, for whatever reason, they just came alive. And, it was early in Wild's career, but Jacques Lemaire had him playing unbelievable. We had Gabby and Burnett, that team was very tenacious. And Jacques Lemaire played a 1-3-1 trap, and he brought it over from New Jersey. Well, that's the last time we've been to the Western Conference Finals, and the hockey gods have told me this is Minnesota's year. So trust me when I tell you, we're playing for the cup. I mean, I don't know if anybody can pick out any weaknesses. Let's hear them. I mean, what do you think needs to be done for this team to get to the cup? Let's hear your answers.
I want to talk about something that Trav mentioned. It wasn't a comment here specifically, but it was in an earlier video. What
Okay.
about, so we're talking about all this, add a forward, add a center. What about if you can find one on the relative cheap? What about another defenseman?
I'd be all over that. And I'll tell you why. We have too many injuries. Getting another top-notch defenseman would, you can never go wrong with defense, getting defense. You can't go wrong with it. Too many injuries to the D. I mean, look at Brodeen's gone for who knows how long now. And we're very deep with prospects, but I don't see let me think about this for a second, folks. I gotta refocus here, okay? I'm sorry. Defenseman.
Well, we can talk about it on another show. We can talk about it on the next show. That's fine.
No, my brain just has to get through it here. I'm thinking so many things I'm trying to assimilate here. Yeah, let's move on. I'll come back to it, okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
I'm sorry, folks. Next question.
Do you think there's any possibility that Matt Boldy gets some run at center?
Well, he could play center, when he first came up, he was like 55% in the dot his first year, and then, just being told he didn't take that many faceoffs, so he kind of lost his edge on it, but he definitely has the ability to do it. I mean, he's done it before. But he's not a center, he's a winger. He could play center. But his best position is on the wing. I mean, in the slot, down deep. Oh, he's just very hard to defend against because he creates his own space so well now. And that's why he's so good. He's honing his craft. He was exceptional when he got here, and now he's an A-plus player. And that's because he works at what he does, just like Kaprizov does. And, why would you change something that's not broken? Now, there's going to be circumstances where he may have to play center, but he can certainly do it. Next question.
Yeah, Boldy has he's won 39 faceoffs this year. He has lost 46. So he's at 45.9%. Creepy Colors wants to know why Robert Thomas isn't the number one target for the Wilds and why the trade hasn't happened immediately.
Good question. Here we go. Robert Thomas. He's a hell of a player, but he does not make the players around him better. And this is all shown analytically. I should have wrote it down. I forgot where I got the information from. But Cairo's production playing with Thomas is 30% less for 2 years in a row. That has to tell you something. Thomas is so good that he should make the players around him better, just like Kaprizov does, right? But he doesn't. That's a problem. And he's hurt right now. He's got, hold on, let me look here. I got it written down. He's got 11 goals, 22 assists for 33 points, and he's a -3 for the year. Now, those are good numbers, but is that really a number one center? No. I would take Trocheck over Thomas any day. His numbers in the dot aren't aren't impressive either. I think he's below 50%. Maybe you can look that up, Seth.
Let me see. Robert Thomas is 52.3% in the dot.
Yeah, he would be the worst of all of them. At least it's 52. But if you look at the players that play alongside him, they haven't gotten better. They have gotten worse. And that has to tell you something. There's a disconnect somewhere. I mean, Kairu's one hell of a player. He's got wheels and he's got it all. And when his point production is down 30% playing with Thomas, well, they're not connected for whatever reason. I don't know. I don't watch St. Louis. Maybe you do, Creepy, and you can tell us what you see. In fact, do you actually watch him? Can you give us a little insight?
He says that Thomas was playing great in the postseason and needs a change of scenery from that rotten Blues team. They are very bad.
Yeah, that's a good point. But, St. Louis hasn't done anything. And they have several players, Shin, Thomas. Well, really anybody on their team is available, but I don't ever see anybody connected to the Blues for a trade. I don't know what that means, but, maybe he's just keeping it very close to the vest like Billy does, but I don't see anything about going after the Blues. Sotapod did last night, and I can see the reason for it. And for anybody who doesn't watch Sotapod, you really need to watch it. They got one hell of a show. In fact, I want to say this. Minneapolis is so lucky. The Twin Cities is so lucky because we have several podcast shows that are just top notch. And I'm on a lot of shows all over the country, and I can tell you between Judge and Bardon and Seth, Sotapod, and you get a look at different, everybody has their own opinion, and we're very lucky to have all this podcast here because everybody's top notch, and, doesn't matter if you don't agree with them. Everybody has their opinion, but all the shows are just awesome. And we're really quite lucky to have, because, I go up Seattle, Utah, God help them. They do their best, but hockey knowledge is really lacking. They read and then they report. Anyway, next question.
I think that's a good spot to leave
Hang
things.
her up?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. So are we going to do a live version of my birthday gig at Chicago?
We'll have to work that out. I have a game that I'm doing that night, but we can do I'm not sure what time. We can probably do something right at 5:30.
Okay.
But we'll work that out.
Okay, well, yeah, we'll get back to you and figure out what we're going to do. But anyway, everybody, thank you for putting up with me. And I understand that I'm not, oh, shit, I forgot what I was going to say. I'm sorry. Let's just end it.
Good.
I forget what I'm talking about.
That's fine.
Thank you, everybody, for coming on and watching the show, and we'll see you next week. Good night, everybody.